You're listening to episode 24 of the Fed and Fearless podcast. On today's episode, I have with me Dani Almeyda, who's going to talk all about how to press reset in all areas of our lives. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm a registered dietitian and coach trained in functional medicine with a passion for helping women just like you ditch perfectionism and use food, fitness, and self-care to fuel your bigger God-given purpose. I believe that it's possible to achieve your biggest life-changing goals without the frustration, obsession, or negative self-talk that so many women subject themselves to every day. All you need are the right tools, the right mindset, and the faith to turn your dreams into reality. I'm here to guide you along the way. The truth is that you are so much more than a body, and I'm on a mission to help you change the way you think and act at a core beliefs level so you can transform your physical, mental, and spiritual health from the inside out. Are you ready to become fed and fearless in your pursuit of a healthy, meaningful life? Welcome to the Fed and Fearless podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fed and Fearless podcast. I'm Laura Schoenfeld. I'm your host as always, and we have a really great guest for you today who's a friend of mine who happens to live just down the road from me in North Carolina. And she is someone who inspires me with not only her mindset and focus on fitness and health, but also the way that she is changing the world of women's fitness and women's movement to make it much more inclusive and to really be far more empowering than the way that the typical fitness industry leaves women when it comes to our recommendations about movement and fitness and training and all of that good stuff. So I'm so excited to have with me on the show today, Dani Almeyda. With nearly 15 years in the fitness and health promotion industry, Dani Almeyda has found her place as a sought-after professional. Dani helped discover and grow the Original Strength system, as well as open the doors of the Original Strength Institute in North Carolina. And she founded the Women's Movement Collaborative in 2016. Dani is constantly driven to make the world a better place through introducing people to movement and hope and unveiling just how much they are truly capable of. She is traveling the world teaching for Original Strength and currently lives in Fuquay Varina, North Carolina with her husband, son, daughter, and their dog. I originally met Dani at the Women's Movement Collaborative event. I think it was about a year and a half ago at this point. I unfortunately was not able to attend last year's event in Fuquay Varina because I was at a different event and it just so happened that those dates didn't align. But I did meet Dani that previous year at her event. I also met some really amazing other women. Sarah Smith, who we interviewed a couple of weeks ago, is one of those women that I met at the Women's Movement Collaborative event. And it was such an amazing experience. And honestly, I really hope I can go this year because I was really bummed to have missed it last year. If you ever have the opportunity to attend a Women's Movement Collaborative event, you definitely should. It's a really amazing experience and a really great way to meet other women who are interested in health and fitness. And Dani herself is amazing. She's so sweet. And as I mentioned in her bio, she is so full of hope for other people. And she's always pointing other people to the hope that they have, not only in their physical and mental health, but their spiritual health as well. So I'm so glad that she could come join us on the show today. And without further ado, here is Dani. All right, welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited to have this guest with me today. She's a friend that lives locally and someone who's super inspiring to me, Dani Almeyda. Welcome to the show, Dani.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We literally just saw each other for like 2 seconds, last weekend.
Yeah.
So we're definitely due for a legitimate visit, but I'm glad that we get to see each other virtually. Many of the listeners may not know who you are because I just don't always get to share your awesomeness as much as I would like to. So I would love if we could start out just by chatting about your story and how you got to where you are, because you have a lot of really cool stuff going on professionally. And I just would love to hear about how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Oh man, that could be like a whole story in itself. But so my name is Dani Almeyda. I have been in the health and fitness industry for a little over 15 years now. And I got started down this route as a volleyball player. I played volleyball competitively, and I ended up as one of those athletes that got injured all the time. Like, I had this huge file in college, and my athletic trainer had like a tape job named after me. So I decided that I wanted to go into, the health and fitness industry and help athletes be able to sustain lifestyle moving forward, not just through their sport, like what happens next. And as an injured athlete that was super hypermobile, I had a lot of injuries myself that I needed to try to figure out how to work around after sports. And so I went and did some work in the campus recreation world, working in a college campus. That was fun and interesting, but ended up settling on the fitness side of things, getting certified as a personal trainer, going back and getting my master's degree in exercise science, and finding myself from the mountains of North Carolina all the way out here in the Raleigh area in Fuquay Varina. For your listeners, that's a fun one to try to say. It's always a good one to see what people say when they see the spelling of it. So I moved to Fuquay in 2010. My husband got a job as a firefighter, and it kind of took us out of the mountains, which we loved, and brought us here. And I had to start from scratch. So finding, a new place to kind of build a community and start my personal training business, and started with, just kind of the volleyball coaching and working with athletes and kind of going down that route. And then my husband came home one day from work, and he's like, "Hey, there's this firefighter that's like leaving the fire department. He lives in Fuquay, and his name is Tim, and he must be like really good or something, because he's just like a really good personal trainer or something, because he's leaving the fire department for this job." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's cool, whatever." Well, about maybe 2 months later, I'm looking for a space to train my clients in our hometown, Fuquay. And I come driving down the road, and I see this little sign on the road that says OPT Fitness. Okay, I have no idea what this is, but I'm like, okay, there's a gym there, so maybe I can start training some clients there. And I call this sign, and on the other end of that phone is Tim Anderson, who is now my business partner with Original Strength and Original Strength Institute. To this day, I'm the only person that has ever called that phone number from that sign ever. So Tim and I met and decided that we would actually work pretty well together. I thought he was a little bit crazy at first, but he taught me some really cool stuff. I've always been into kind of natural movement and the way that our bodies are supposed to move versus really just trying to drill people after years of drilling myself. So learning the hard way. And Tim taught me how to become more resilient myself. And I was able to adapt that into my own training and helping others. So that's kind of my really short, quick version, which probably wasn't that short at all.
Yeah, actually, it was pretty short. I feel like whenever people ask me about my story, it's like 20 minutes. And okay. I'm like, supposedly that's the nutshell version. So, and I always forget that you played volleyball. I don't know why, but because I played as well in high school and college a little bit. So, I don't know why North Carolina doesn't have more opportunities for adults to play, but maybe we'll have to figure something out. Because Dani actually lives probably like 10 to 20 minutes away from me at this point.
Yeah. I'm going to go up sometime soon at your house.
I would love to hear more about Original Strength, because I have had very few introductions to it myself. And I know that a lot of our listeners probably want to know more. And I would just love to hear about the Original Strength philosophy that you guys have created.
Yes. So Original Strength is all about getting back to the basics of who you were made to be. So we believe that you were never meant to be broken and to feel weak or fragile. We believe that you were created to be strong and resilient for a lifetime. And unfortunately, as you know, a lot of us have kind of started living this great lie of thinking, oh, I hit 30, I'm too old for that. I'm 40, I can't do this anymore. Or, there's no need for me to try to exercise. I'm injured, my back, my knees, my neck, whatever. And so what we do is we teach people how to rediscover the strength that is already within them. And we do that by teaching them how to press reset. And pressing reset is a way that we tap into the nervous system. So we tap into the nervous system by teaching you, or reteaching you really, how to move through some developmental movements that we did as babies. So the first thing you do when you come out, a fresh baby, the first thing they do is they start breathing. And so we teach people how to breathe again. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so we'll tap into getting people to properly breathe, to get their head moving again. So we've all heard of tummy time for a baby. Most of us have seen a new baby, and they're super wobbly and fragile, and that's because they haven't established that head control. As they start to establish head control, they get a lot stronger so they can support their bodies. So we get our head control, and then we start rolling around, and you see babies rolling around on the floor. We actually have people rolling around on the floor in the gym. It's great proprioceptive input. It's like getting a giant hug, right, just from laying around on the floor. Plus, it just feels really good. So we'll get people rolling around, rocking on their hands and knees, which starts to get some, total joint integration, very gentle strength training as you're rocking back and forth on your hands and knees. And then we start crawling. And that's something that original strength seems to kind of get some knowing of other people kind of think, oh, those are those people that crawl and roll around the floor like weirdos. Well, yeah, we do maybe, but that's okay. We do have people crawling and working on contralateral movement patterns to tap into the nervous system to help strengthen them and their gait pattern and tie their X together. So we believe, your body is a giant X, and doing some of these types of pattern movements can really help strengthen that. And all of those movements lead into being able to fully express your body however it is that you want to express yourself. So if you're a volleyball player, or you're a dancer, or a runner, a CrossFit athlete, powerlifter, swimmer, whatever it is, these movements are things that you can implement into your daily life and just kind of help you move better and feel better and get your nervous system on track.
So do you guys see these movements as being like more of a warm up for a more intense exercise, or do you have clients that this is all they do?
Can I just say yes?
Yes, and
yeah, so it's all of the above. So, we'll use resets as a warm up or a cool down or in between their sessions, or even just as a workout in itself. Currently, we've got a program on our online platform called Unlock Your Body. It's like 25 minutes, and all it is just straight resets for 25 minutes, and it can be broken up however. Now, when I say as a workout, I actually don't think of resets as a workout in general. I think of it as movement. And I think movement is something that we're all lacking. The majority of people are sitting on their butts 12 hours a day, and then sleeping the other hours. So if we're just trying to implement and get people moving a little bit more, pressing reset, tapping into that nervous system, that's kind of how I look at it. So you'll see people in office space, like in a corporate workplace, doing these resets in the middle of their workday, kids in a classroom, athletes, golfers before a golf game, things like that.
That's awesome. And you had said a few minutes ago that breathing is where you start. So it sounds like you have something to share about breathing with us.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're all breathing right now. All of you that are listening are breathing. We're sitting here. Obviously we are able to do that, but where a lot of us, and I know that you've talked about this probably with others before, I don't know if have you already had Sarah on the podcast? Yeah. So I'm sure she spoke about breathing as well. But breathing is something that I think we take for granted. And one of the easiest ways to be able to really just refocus and get your body back on track and your mind on track so that you can really take time to just be present is to focus on your breath. And so when we say we start with breathing, that's the first thing a baby does. Well, it's the first thing that we should be refocusing on when we're trying to, work on ourselves. So just by taking, 1 minute to focus on nice deep breaths. Now we teach it by keeping your mouth closed, keeping your tongue on the roof of your mouth, breathing in through your nose, in and out through your nose, and trying to take nice deep breaths all the way deep down into your pelvis, filling up your belly, even getting expansion into the lungs, filling your whole cavity with with air, and slowly letting back out. So that can make a huge impression on the rest of your day and the way that your mind thinks, the way your body moves. So that was why I just wanted to kind of give a little shout out to breath work. It's easy to skip because so many people think, oh, I'm breathing already, but it's easily one of the most important things and the most, highest impact things you can do to make your day better.
And what would be a sign that somebody could pay attention to that they're not breathing as well as they could be?
Sure. So there's lots of different signs, but if you were wondering right now if you're breathing properly, you could check simply and see like, okay, am I breathing up into my chest? Like, so how do you breathe naturally? Like, do you notice that I'm just kind of breathing, deep into my chest and all that's moving is up here? Because that's where a lot of us breathe. Also, if you're noticing that your breaths are shallow, so shorter breaths, if you're noticing any excess tension up through the shoulders and the neck, that can be another place. If you have any, maybe like just feeling of a little bit of anxiety, a lot of times we tend to breathe up into the chest there. So, if you're starting to feel very anxious, check your breath and see where it's at. Are you breathing into your chest? Then work on taking those deeper breaths into the belly.
Mm-hmm. And then with the breathing practice, what are some of the positions that you guys teach? Because I know there's a lot of different ways that you can set yourself up to do some breathing.
Yeah. So, what we teach is we teach people how to get short. So how to shrink their cylinder, meaning get their body a little bit closed up, bringing the legs in, the arms in, laying on your back or on your belly. The shorter that you are, sometimes the easier it is to find your belly, because a lot of us will have a hard time finding that. So, where a lot of people will start breathing is, laying on their back, maybe holding on their legs, just kind of pulling their legs up. Personally, though, I like to lay on my belly with my head on my hands. We call that crocodile breathing. I like to use the floor as feedback for my breath. So as I'm breathing, I'm getting that feedback from the floor, kind of just telling me like, okay, yes, I am breathing into my belly. So that's one of my most favorite positions.
Yeah, I like that one too. It's like just having that sensation on the outside to kind of give you that feedback, which is why I feel like when I'm lifting, if I'm lifting heavy, a lot of times I like to use a belt because of that feedback, because I can really push against it as opposed to just being like, how far out do I need to push my belly? So you had mentioned, we had chatted a little bit before we jumped on this call, the concept of pressing reset. You guys teach a lot about movement and how to press reset to help your nervous system and everything. Are there other areas of your life that you would apply this concept of pressing reset to?
Yeah. So, we're talking specifically about movement. A lot of times when we're in our workshops and certifications, but, personally, I use it as a mental clarity reset. I have 2 young kids. I am running 2 businesses, maybe 3. My husband has a crazy work schedule. I feel stressed sometimes. And so I use, taking the time to mentally say like, okay, I'm going to reset. And I move through a lot of times. It might just be breathing, but I do I'll sit there and I'll move my head around even just at any point in my day. And that's really where I say like, okay, I'm going to press reset. I'm going to get my breath. I'm going to have, my positive self-talk, pray a little bit during those times, and really just kind of reset on what matters most. So being right there in that moment. And for me, pressing reset helps me refocus and get present to where I am at that very moment, and to be able to listen to what's happening around me instead of getting wrapped up in all those thoughts.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like a lot of what we talk about on this show is the concept of self-talk and negative self-talk and all of that. And so a lot of times it's almost like a vicious cycle where it's, you have this negative self-talk, it's happening, and then you're responding to that negative self-talk with more negative self-talk. And it's just this situation where I feel like the pressing reset could be just all right, let me just get that out for a minute and get back to baseline.
Yeah, it's like, what is the truth? Like, take a minute, press reset. What is the truth? So part of what we teach with pressing reset is we tell people at the beginning of every class, like, you are awesomely and wonderfully made. Like, we believe that with our fullest extent. And if you are awesomely and wonderfully made, and you are designed and created for greatness and resiliency in life, to thrive in life, if you go back to pressing reset and you just know just that, and you truly believe it changes the way that you look at things and what you know as truth, and where you start to, to have those negative conversations, kind of helps melt those away a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know we've talked a little bit in the past about the faith element with the work that you're doing. And obviously you're a Christian. Yeah. So just so people understand that. And I know that your faith plays a big role in at least the way you approach your work. And then with the Original Strength Institute, or I guess you guys, what's the gym called? It's not the Institute. It is
the Institute.
Is it? Oh, okay. Because there's the online training programs, and then there's the gym. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was correctly describing those. So I even noticed, I did the Reset Clinic last weekend, and you guys gave the books out, and even the book has the scripture on the back. And so I know that you and I have talked about this idea that it's not like the gym is overtly playing K-Love and stuff on the radio. Maybe it is. I don't know. But sometimes it's not necessarily like this very obvious Christian facility, but you guys use faith as being something that can help change the way people see themselves and the way that they move through the world. So where do you see the faith piece coming into the work that you're doing?
There's a couple different ways to kind of look at it, but for us, this is really, where we feel called to serve. So, it's becoming kind of a church for us. And I know that can be controversial. So I don't want to make anyone upset by saying that, but it's a place where people come seeking more, and they're looking. Most of our members are feeling broken. They are feeling not resilient. They are feeling fragile. They are looking for community. They are looking for somebody to show them that they are worthy, that they are loved. And that's what we're all about. Like, we come in and we use every single person as an opportunity to pour in and to be a light and help them shine. And so, from that aspect, I'm kind of looking at, sharing my faith and my journey in that way. But also, like I said, people come in kind of seeking. A lot of times they don't really know what they're looking for. And so it's really cool to be able to be this kind of hidden, they don't know what I know what they're looking for, but they don't even know what they're looking for yet. And so they come in, and when you can start exposing them to God and to love, and, to understand that what they're made for, and how special and awesomely and wonderfully made they are. I mean, I don't want to keep saying the same thing, but it's just, it's powerful. And so we try to plant these seeds of hope in every single time we're with somebody, and hope feels good. Giving and helping people see and understand and feel hopeful, I think, is a really good way to kind of start getting them a little bit more comfortable and exploring their relationship with God.
It's funny that you said that, there would be people out there that would be unhappy if you referred to it as a little church or something, because I feel like in our country, church can be such an unsafe place for people, depending on what kind of church it is, or depending on what their previous experience has been. And so I feel like it's really important to have places like your gym where people can go and not think, oh, I'm coming here because it's a religious experience. They're getting to interact with people that are displaying Jesus, as opposed to there's so many different churches out there. And I know that there's people out there that have been to ones that are very fire and brimstone, if you don't follow the rules, you're going to hell kind of thing. And so I think we need more just places, whether that's physical or virtual, places that people can go that they don't feel like they're getting forced into something that makes them uncomfortable or brings up old trauma or anything like that. So I feel like what you're doing is really important. And I know that the Bible says where two or more are gathered in my name, there I am. So, if there's two of you there that are doing stuff for God, then I feel like that counts as church. So I think it's really cool that you guys have that philosophy. And I feel like it's a nice opportunity for people to get a taste of that without obviously you're not in there expecting people to convert or believe what you believe. It's just, you're just showing them what life is like when you have that foundation.
And, we're just trying to show as much love as we can. And when people feel loved, they start to feel more comfortable and more confident and more healthy and more happy. And then they start exploring things a little bit more. So.
Now, you said you have possibly 3 businesses. I know that one of them is the Women's Movement Collaborative. So can you tell us a little bit about the vision behind that business?
Yes. So the Women's Movement Collaborative is, it really started as a passion project. I was looking around and I had connected with another woman on social media, and we were like, and we kind of came from 2 slightly different movement backgrounds and more unconventional movement side. And we were like, gosh, why don't more of our peeps work together? We're looking and it's you've got okay, your CrossFit group is right here. You're more movement minded here. Your gymnasts are here. And it's all of these different categories, and no one really just comes together, and we're all in it for the same thing. And so we were like, let's get this event together, and let's bring a whole group of women together. And so we reached out to a couple different unconventional movement experts that we enjoyed and thought our values lined up. And so, this is where kind of our very first WMC event came from. And we decided we're going to do 2 days. We're just going to open the doors and introduce women to movement, and with movement, build community and show them, what they're capable of. And we did that with all of these underlying themes of getting comfortable, being uncomfortable, stepping into trying new things, letting go of lies. So, you're not strong enough, you're not able to do things, that kind of thing. And so we wove all of these different topics into our movement. And it came out to be this beautiful thing. Our first event was very successful. We had about 30 or 40 women just that came together and moved, and we just had so much fun. So we decided to do it again. We've done 3 years now. We've been doing this. Last year, or our last event was here in North Carolina. We had 50 women. We sold out. We actually had a wait list, and we had some incredible presenters. And when I say presenters, what I think is really cool about this event is that, so like I said, one, it's all women, it's unconventional, but also, it's all movement focused, and every single person that's presenting is not just it's not a presenter's over here and an attendee's over here. Everyone is together as one big group. So your presenters are also attendees. And we also give all of our attendees an opportunity to share. So we actually call and refer to everybody as collaborators, not usually as much the attendee and the presenter side of things. I did just use those terms, but for the most part, everybody has an opportunity to share and to teach and to share their own voice and their own passions, which I think is really exciting and missing from our world. So
yeah, well, I remember I came to it last year, and that was how we officially met, even though I'd been social media stalking you for a bit. And I just know that a lot of the people I met at that event are so awesome, and people that I still have relationships with. And so obviously I'm fortunate in the sense that the gym is, I think, 14 minutes from my house at this point. But actually, when I came last year, I was still living in downtown Raleigh. So it was more 30 minutes. But it is something where I feel like that experience, that event was really cool. And just being able to participate in some movement styles that I don't know if I would ever have sought out on my own. Oh my gosh, what is it? What is it?
Was it parkour or maces?
Yeah, the steel maces that Kelly taught. And like, I wasn't super good at those, but it was something that I just thought was really cool to try. And I think it's really interesting to just step outside of your comfort zone and try different things without any sort of expectation of like, I don't think we ever felt like, oh, you have to like this or you have to keep doing this in the future. It was just an opportunity to try some different things, which I feel like a lot of women, they get into like a comfort zone of like what they're used to or what their friends are doing and that kind of thing. And they don't really step out of what they are used to and try things that maybe they would really like. And I feel like it was a good opportunity to explore some other ways of movement that either could complement what somebody's doing or maybe be a whole new passion for them.
Oh, totally. Actually, when we were doing the maces, something that really stood out to me that I overheard someone else say is, I really love seeing strong women struggle. This person had said that. And I was kind of like, I never thought about it, but like, it was just kind of like this powerful moment to me, seeing like, that everybody, no matter what, like everybody has things that are hard for them and challenging. And, it's really important and just so important to step outside of the comfort zone and just try new things and struggle at things. Like, when was the last time you allowed yourself to struggle at something? If you're used to always, succeeding, and if you haven't tried anything new, when was the last time you tried something new? I don't know. I think it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, and it's really interesting that they said specifically seeing strong women struggle, because I feel like so often the people that we look up to in whatever area of our lives, whether that's like physical health, or I know for me, there's people in my life that are like business, inspiration, that kind of thing. And so often we only see them succeeding, right? Like, a lot of people are not just like broadcasting their failures when things happen that aren't good or aren't what they wanted. So I think being able to see that there isn't like certain people that are just good at everything and other people that aren't, it's like we all have things that we struggle with. And the only way to get to a place where we are capable is actually by struggling. Because I mean, unless you're just like ridiculously talented at something from birth, there's going to be a period of learning where you're not that good at it. And you have to struggle and you have to, experience failure and things not going the way that you think that they would. So I feel like when we're kids, it's a lot easier to do that, because everybody's kind of like, all children are learning and growing, and like most of them are not amazing at sports and stuff. Like, if you've ever watched and I know you just were at a like young children's basketball game, and I'm sure they don't look like NBA players or anything. So I feel like when we're kids, it's so much more acceptable to be like not good at things, because everybody's not good at things. So then when we're adults and we're surrounded by people that are succeeding in certain areas of our lives, I think it's really easy to compare ourselves to where they are and say like, well, I'm never going to be able to be like that, so I might as well not even try. So I feel like having that opportunity to see people that are skillful in certain areas of their lives really stink at certain stuff, it's like, oh, cool. Like, I'm not the only one that can't do things when I first try them. So I love that, that comment that person made, because it's so true.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's funny because like, I personally try to be like open and honest about challenges on social media and stuff. But like, I think sometimes when you're going through a challenge, it doesn't feel appropriate to like, word vomit over your community, or like, I'm not here to process my emotions with my audience necessarily. So sometimes I know what can happen for me is when I'm in a struggle, I'm not necessarily interested in broadcasting it. But then when I'm out of it, sometimes I just like forget really fast what I went through. And it's like, okay, on to the next thing. And like, you never really have that opportunity to share something that you were going through, which is actually why I really enjoy coaching. Because I feel like when you're working with someone privately, it just feels like a more appropriate space to talk about like, okay, they're struggling with something, letting them know like, hey, I've been through that too. Like, that's normal. It's okay. Like, that kind of conversation, I think, just can come up a little bit more naturally. And even when you're coaching, I mean, you're not like, again, using your student or your client to be like a therapist or something, but I think if you can show them that, hey, like you're trying to accomplish what I've accomplished and you're in this struggle right now. And I went through that too. And it's totally like, it's fine. Like we'll get you through it.
Being relatable is important. If people can't, relate to you and be able to, and you can't be vulnerable enough to share your own life and your own struggles and your own failures and what you've learned, then it makes it really hard to create relationships that are meaningful.
Yeah, definitely. So with the Women's Movement Collaborative, what would you say is your big mission with that? Because I assume you have more things that are on your radar for that business. So what do you see potentially being created there?
So, yeah, I mean, like the mission of the Women's Movement Collaborative is to, build a strong community of women that will support one another and, empower one another. So that is really the mission of the organization for me and what keeps me kind of putting my time there. So, it's still really, it is kind of just a passion project. It really lights me up. I love the women I've met through that. I love getting to share. I have a lot of fun with it. It's also a lot of work. So I have to be mindful of that. But, for me, I think there's, negative aspects and not negative, but basically I don't think there's as many opportunities for women to come together in a really positive environment that is supported with love, like met with love and, movement and just, a more unconventional method. I don't think there's a lot of that out there. And so for me to be able to come in and to share that I believe, to be able to share that and tell each woman that's there that they are awesomely and wonderfully made and created to be a undeniably powerful force, whatever that is to them. To be able to tell someone that and then to be able to share, obviously like that I come at that with a faith aspect. And I know that that's not something that's spoken about often in that type of setting. So it's a really easy opportunity for me to pour into people that I might not otherwise have had the opportunity to do so, and to expose them to original strength, which I know I've mentioned original strength and talked about it before, but original strength is when you look back at like what original strength is your true original strength is one, understanding that you're awesomely and wonderfully made. So, right. Like if you believe that and that you're not meant to be broken, that your body is designed to heal itself, then a lot of times some of those other things will kind of melt away. Well, where do you get that? Where do you get the awesomely and wonderfully made part? Like, where do you get that from? And that's God. And so, knowing that original strength comes from God, that your original strength comes from that is where, it kind of helps, it takes it to another level for me. So, being able to help people see that, that they are just powerful in themselves. Every inch of them was made for a purpose and designed for awesomeness. So that's really my mission with it. And the presenters that come in have just, are all just these wonderful, powerful, strong women who have beliefs like none other. And they really love on all the women there. So it's just been a really awesome experience.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me think about, like, I had this conversation with my husband the other day because I noticed with the guys in our group of friends, like basically my core community is my church. So like most of our friends, either my husband's friends or my friends are from that, especially because I like literally stole my husband from Ohio. So he was like, all right, now you get to be friends with all my friends. So, so something I've been noticing is that the men do things a lot like as men, like a group of men. So like my husband was mentioning that he's planning on going skiing, I think, or snowboarding in February with at least one, if not a couple of the guys from church. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, when was the last time I did anything with like a group of the women from church that wasn't like specifically that we were doing something as a volunteer position, if that makes sense. So like I honestly, if I think back, the last time I did anything beyond just one-on-one hangouts with my girlfriends was we had, this is really sad to say, it was preparing decorations for last year's Christmas service. And it was literally like we just showed up and we're like creating decorations. And I'm like, I don't know what it is because in my mind, in my community, there's no expectation that the women aren't allowed to do things or like there's no, sexism or anything like that in our church. But it almost seems like women don't necessarily go out and make opportunities to get together as groups like that. And I feel like women, maybe even more so than men, women really need those relationships and need that community and need like a group that can support them and that they can meet with and connect with and everything. And yeah, like one-on-one relationships are great. I'm not going to say like, no, everything needs to be a group, but something that I definitely have noticed in the last couple of years is for whatever reason, women just are not presented opportunities very often to get together as a group, unless it's like a small group, like, a book reading or a book club or like small group for church or something. And I think that's something I really appreciate about your event is that it's like, I hate to call it an excuse, but it's like a reason. It's a reason for women to kind of get away from their responsibilities, their families. I mean, there's a lot going on, especially when people have kids, and to be able to kind of get away from everything that is demanding of them to come together as a group and to connect and to, talk about stuff that maybe they haven't talked about with anyone or something like that. I feel like that doesn't happen as much as I wish it did. And I love that your event and your movement in general is something that provides those opportunities. Because you guys also have like pop-up events that are like just somebody decides that they're going to organize something and you've inspired them to get people together for like a hike or for, something that is just a group activity.
Yeah, why not? It's like, I think, and to speak to your point, is I think a lot of times there's this connotation that you get a bunch of women together and it's just going to be like this big cat fight. And I think a lot of times people do think that it comes up a lot. And it's not necessarily true. And that was kind of part of what we were trying, what was kind of how we got this started was like, there's that scarcity mindset of, there's competition or, someone else's looks, it's too good. So I'm going to find something to, complain about because I'm not happy with myself or whatever. But, I think it's an issue. And so, having opportunities for women to take up some space guiltlessly, to, teach them to take up space, go out, try new things, connect with other people, because we need people in our lives. Like we need to have those conversations. And other than our spouses or partners, it's important to have those relationships. But also to, I think women, we get in our heads so much more than men do. And so, you're also like telling yourselves, like we're telling ourselves these stories like, well, maybe she doesn't want to hang out with me. Maybe I'm not cool enough. What if I look stupid when I do this, or I don't even have any clothes to wear, so as we tell all these stories, but, once we just like take the leap, it's a difference. And then I think once you do it once, it's a lot easier to keep doing it again.
Yeah, definitely. I always wonder, I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think my husband is ever worried about what he's wearing when he's hanging out with his friends or anything like that. So yeah. And it's funny because it's like, I feel like women, I don't know if it's that we just don't necessarily take the initiative to make the thing happen. Like that was something that my husband said is because I was like, why do the girls never do stuff? Like these guys are going camping, they're going skiing or snowboarding together. They like, my husband had a bunch of guys over to play poker one night. And it's like, and maybe I'm just getting left out. Maybe that's the actual reality. But I'm like, I don't ever see the women like doing something like that where it's like just a social thing just for the women. And we have a lot of friends that are like moms that have really young kids and stuff. And I know it's hard to get babysitters and that kind of thing. But I'm like, I feel like there needs to be more opportunity for women to spend time together. And especially with movement, like I think so many women, they, like I said, they get stuck in a rut, or maybe they're not doing any exercise because they're so busy and they have all this stuff going on that they don't know that, oh, you don't have to go to the gym. You don't have to like go take a class or something. So I feel like what you guys provide is an inspiration for creating more opportunities like that, since like an event is really cool and buying a ticket and all of that makes it a little bit more special. But I think the way that you guys inspire the little like breakout meetups and that kind of thing is really nice, because otherwise, I mean, if we're all just waiting for people to invite us over, waiting for a group to form, it's like, who's going to actually take initiative there? And I think I hope that the people listening to this episode today will get inspired to step out and maybe make some things happen, invite their friends out for a hike, or try a new movement class or something like that. But I think a lot of times women don't necessarily feel comfortable taking the initiative, and I feel like your event, getting them out of their comfort zone, I think can inspire doing other things that are uncomfortable, like inviting a group of friends over.
Hey, and I'll tell you that getting comfortable, being uncomfortable will make you so much stronger at everything in life, because you're always going to have uncomfortable situations. And if you know how to just move through the discomfort, you get really comfortable being uncomfortable. And it makes everything so much easier. And that can come into like your fitness and health world, trying to, go up to the next level on things, or your work, or at home in relationships. I mean, it makes you stronger mentally. So
yeah, definitely. And I know being an entrepreneur is like practicing discomfort on steroids. Yeah. So it's like, and I feel like obviously not everybody has that opportunity to do it as a job or work. So just having other opportunities in life to step outside of your comfort zone and see that you're not going to die, and like nothing's going to catch on fire or anything. So just being able to do things that maybe feel a little scary, but once you actually do them, you're like, oh, I'm so glad that this happened, or I'm so glad that we had this this gathering, or this, I'm so glad that I tried this new way of exercising because I love it and I never would have known otherwise. So I would say, I feel like we've talked about a lot of things like Original Strength, Women's Movement Collaborative, your faith. And you said that you have maybe a third business that we don't necessarily have to talk about if it's a new thing. But I think that there seems to be some common threads with the different things that you're putting your energy into. So if we kind of zoom out and think about like your personal sense of purpose, and like, what do you feel like the work that you're doing in all of these areas, what is the vision for that? What would you say is the vision for the impact that you hope to have on the world through the different angles that you're taking?
Yeah, I mean, everything comes back to that. My goal and my mission in life is to help show people how strong they already are and where that strength comes from. So, that's ultimately, that's where it's all going for me. And every single thing you see me do, it's going to come back to that. So
nice. I love it. It's so succinct. It's like, would make like a nice bumper sticker or something.
Yes, the one thing in life I'm succinct on, but that's pretty important one. So
yeah, well, I love it, and I feel like having that that kind of true north will really help with you making decisions about how to spend your time and energy, and like where to go in your business. Because as business owners, like we have to make these decisions all the time about what we're going to do, what projects we're going to say yes to, what projects we're going to either say no to, or maybe like take away from our actual like what we're doing in the world. So I think having a really strong sense of what your inner mission is really going to be helpful for you, and will make it more impactful, because you're not like questioning like, what is my purpose? Like, how does this program align with my values, or what I think I'm here to do? So I know that, not that I'm saying it's easy, but I'm sure it's a lot more easy when you have that strong sense of your mission, as opposed to being like, I have no idea what I'm here to do.
Yeah. Now it's just a matter of me. Like, I like shiny things. So I'm always like, oh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. So then I have to address it on the other end too, of, is that where I'm best needed? Is that where I can serve the best? Like, does that take away from other areas? So that's my next lesson. That's what I'm working on is saying no and doing less, and and not doing it all.
Yeah. There's this book called Essentialism. Have you heard of that one before?
I have.
Have you read it?
I love it. It's a great book. Yes, and that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know if I ever finished it, which is maybe not the best thing to admit, but it was I thought it was really impactful to think about it as like a discipline to cut down on things and to be able to say no to things, even things that seem good. Like, we don't have unlimited amount of time and energy. And I know that I'm prone to doing the same thing where I'll just like have an idea and be like, oh, this sounds awesome. Let's just do it. And then when it actually rubber hits the road, it's, my head's going in 10 different directions. And I personally find that when it's like that, either physically my health is suffering or even mentally or spiritually my health is suffering, or just the quality of the work I'm putting out suffers because I can't put my energy and focus into the things that need the level of attention to really be successful. So it has been for me, even just the last couple months, making some decisions around what I'm going to be putting my energy into for 2020 and killing some projects or like, saying no to things or just streamlining as much as possible. And it's hard because it's like you want to do all the things and you're so passionate, but it's not really feasible unless you just have like an army of people working for you that can help put those things into reality.
Yeah, I think the awareness factor is like that step one, but it's also the hardest thing because once you become aware of whatever it is that you're working on being aware of, like once you become aware and you're doing it, then you're like, and then, it's the awareness is just this beautiful, crazy thing because it's just trying to it can be cyclical when you get stuck in it and you're like, oh, but I don't want to be, and then I'm doing this, and then I gotta go back, and you keep going around in a circle, and so then you got to check your ego and your pride and see where things are supposed to be and why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big place where that being comfortable with discomfort can come in, because I almost feel like the reason that people don't stop and assess their choices and assess what their priorities are is because if you know that your current situation is not in alignment, that's kind of uncomfortable to be like, oh, dang, like I kind of feel like I shouldn't be doing everything that I'm doing, or maybe I'm not doing something that I should be doing, or, my choices aren't really aligned with what I value or what the person that I feel like God's created me to be. So the awareness piece has to happen for any change to happen. But I feel like that awareness can be extremely uncomfortable because it's like, it's almost easier to just kind of ignore when you're out of alignment or when things are not really going the way that they could be going. So it takes a lot of courage to be able to stop and be honest with yourself, and not in a way that you're like self-deprecating or saying like, oh, I'm so stupid for doing this. It's just like, I'm doing these things that are not aligned, and I'm the one that has control over whether I continue to do them or not. And I need to make some tough decisions. So I feel like that discomfort is something that I feel like I know I'm constantly circling back to, like, okay, am I still in alignment? Am I still doing what I think I should be doing? Am I still like being committed to the things that I've committed to and not chasing the shiny objects? So
it's so fun to chase those things, but just not
productive.
I know.
Well, and I don't know about you, but I feel like coming up with ideas can be really easy.
Yeah.
But executing them is like, that's where the rubber hits the road and you're like, oh, this is a little harder than I thought it was going to be. And then it's like, then you have to decide how committed you are to that particular direction. So that's why I feel like knowing your true north and knowing what your mission is can really help, because then you can kind of weigh your choices against like, okay, does that really support the mission? Or does it detract from something else that I'm doing that is more supportive of the mission? So it's not easy though. I feel like it's like, just because there's so many things that you could do that would align with even just the mission that you mentioned, like there's probably a million different things that you could do with that. But, like I said, that discipline comes in to say, okay, well, what are the most effective, or maybe what has the biggest potential for impact, or what do I love doing the most, that kind of thing. And I know that you're multi-passionate, so it might not even come down to passion. It might just come down to hours in the day for you.
Yeah. There's only so many.
Yes. I wish there were more sometimes, mostly so I could just sleep more. But anyway, I could talk to you forever, and I'll have to have you over for some tea or coffee or something, since you have not been at the new house yet. But for those of us listening that maybe don't get to hang out with you in real life, where can people find you online and connect with you further?
Yes. So if you're into the Instagram world, you can find me on Instagram at original strength or @ original strength. My personal one is Dani Nicole A. I don't know if you provide links or anything like that.
But yeah, we'll put links in the show notes for people.
Okay. So yeah. And then we also have a page for Women's Movement Collaborative where it's not just me, it's everybody. You'll see stuff from Laura, from other show guests that Laura's had on, and just other women all over the world. And then if anyone, wants to learn more about Original Strength, or if you're local to the area, you can check out originalstrength.net. We have books, blogs, tons of free content that we put out, workshops all over the world. And then our gym is Original Strength Institute. We also offer online programming. So if anyone wants to get up and just start moving, come hit us up. We'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah. And I would say if you're not lucky like me to live within 15 minutes of the gym, but you could travel, I think being able to come to one of y'all's events, like the Women's Movement Collaborative event, or even some of the workshops that you guys put on at the gym, just through the gym itself, the co-ed workshops, I feel like that's a really great way to get some hands-on exposure to what you guys are teaching. And then if you're not in the area, you can always go home and then use the online resources to complement what you've learned at a workshop. You don't have to come to a workshop, I'm sure, but I just think it's really cool to get that opportunity to do some stuff in real life with people.
Experience.
Yes. Yes. Well, Dani, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and sharing some laughs with me. I love getting to chat with you and hang out with you. So, and I know that our listeners, I'm sure, learned a lot today, and I hope that they'll get more about the original strength method so that they can start to get back to their original strength. But anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out with us, and we'll see you here next week on the Fed and Fearless podcast. Take care, everyone. Hey everyone, Laura Schoenfeld here again. As you know, I absolutely love working with other women from all walks of life to help them create a purpose-filled life that they love. And part of that mission is to help women who are online business owners drop the hustle and come into alignment with their ideal business goals so they can work from a sense of ease and abundance and grow their income and impact with joy. Unlike other business coaches, I have experience in the health and wellness industry, and I've heavily invested in my own online business training and mentorship to get to a place where I'm now bringing in multiple six figures of revenue on an annual basis. Would you believe that I've invested over $100,000 in my own business development and mentorship over the past 6+ years? And honestly, that's just the financial cost of growing my business. It's taking me hours and hours of testing, learning, experimenting, and lots of failing to get to the place where I am today. And after all this, I can tell you one thing with absolute certainty. There's no way I would be where I am today if I had not been willing to invest in my growth and to find the mentors who can help me accelerate my business faster than I ever imagined. The truth is, running an online business can be incredibly isolating. And if you don't have the right systems in place, it can take up nearly every waking minute of your free time, which is a recipe for a major health disaster and some serious business burnout. And after working with hundreds of clients over the years, coaching other RDs to their first $10,000 plus months, and supporting my peers in the masterminds I've personally invested in, I knew I just had to use my knowledge and experience to help other women grow their online businesses even faster and easier than I was able to. That's why I decided to create my first ever mastermind group in 2020, the group I wish I had had when I was first working on hitting my first 100K plus year. And I'm so excited to create a space for you to experience joyful and profitable business growth, all while being surrounded and supported by women on the same thrilling journey of entrepreneurship. If you want to learn more about this mastermind and apply, go to fedandfearless.com/mastermind. On that page, you'll find everything you need to know about what the mastermind includes and how to apply for your spot. You can also go to my main website at lauraschoenfeldrd.com and click the business coaching button on the homepage to learn more about this opportunity. I would love to work with you, whether it's in the mastermind or private coaching or somewhere in between, and I'd love to connect with you further about the business that you're growing. Go to fedandfearless.com/mastermind and send in your application, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.